Well, here at Trinity, before we get into the sermon, we have what's called a Worldview segment. So for those of you that are guests with us, welcome. Let me explain why we have this Worldview segment. First of all, we believe that we've received a mandate from heaven as a church. We believe that we're a spiritual crossroads, if you will, where moral, cultural, social, political issues intersect with biblical truth. We base this on a verse of scripture out of the Old Testament, 1 Chronicles 12:32, which says this: the sons of Issachar had wisdom regarding the times in which they lived, and they knew what they should do. So we believe today that Christians need to have wisdom regarding the times in which we live, the end times in which we live. You need to discern the times for two reasons at least. Number one, you need to be informed so that you could know how to pray, so that number two, you personally can be empowered to act. Peter said in Acts 2:40, save yourselves from this wicked and perverse generation. Well, if it was wicked and perverse then, think about what it is today. So we're not only to save ourselves, but in the process, save others through the gospel of Jesus Christ. So, doesn't this make sense? As times get tougher, sermons can't keep getting weaker. So here at Trinity, we're not simply trying to grow a church, but grow the people in the church. So for those of you that call Trinity your home, we're asking you more than ever to pray like never before, serve, get involved like never before, continue to give and honor the Lord, practicing biblical stewardship like never before. These are critical times we find ourselves living in. So I want to ask you a question. If America were a movie, what genre would it fall under? What category of a movie would currently our nation be in? Would it be an action movie? Would it be a comedy? I think at times it feels like a comedy. Fantasy? How about a romance story? Not anymore. Maybe science fiction, animated? I believe it would fall in the category of a horror flick. And it would be one of the most bizarre horror flicks ever. It would be kind of a mashup between The Purge and Groundhog Day, right? I mean, picture this, a country where every morning we wake up to the same terrifying news cycle only to find out that it's not a rerun. Now, in every horror movie or show, there's a lot of death and violence. And regrettably, we're seeing a lot of that, more so than ever perhaps in our country. These school shootings, another one just at the beginning of this month, September 4th, in Appalachia High School there in Widener, Georgia, where 2 students, 2 teachers, and 9 others were wounded in a mass shooting. Last night, gunfire erupted at 5 Points South Cigar Lounge in Birmingham, Alabama, injuring 22 people, with 2 men and a woman killed at the scene. That just happened around 11 o'clock last night. Now, have you ever noticed that there are no mass shootings in an airport terminal? There are no mass shootings in a courtroom. Why? For the simple reason, they have metal detectors. They're called hard targets. It's not accessible for those crazy people out there that want to do mass harm to get into. So if protecting our children is truly our top priority and should be our top priority, why don't we ensure their safety at the same level of security and protection? And don't tell me we can't afford it. We can afford it. Why? Did you know recently the Biden administration released $16 million in funds to Iran? Over the past 3.5 years, they've given over $26 billion to Iran. And of course, we know what they're using it for. Now, shouldn't we be able to allocate a fraction of that to secure the public safety of our children? You know, over the last 3 years, we've given over $150 million to Ukraine in their efforts to defend themselves against the attack from Russia. So get this, we have 24,000 high schools in America with another 10,000 private high schools in America. So about 34,000 high schools in America. The average metal detector costs anywhere from $25,000 to $100,000. So if we went on the high end and bought every public and private high school, let's just start there, a metal detector, that would be $3.4 billion. Chump change compared to some of the amounts of money that we are currently spending. I know there would be additional costs for staff and all that, but imagine the cost, just the monetary cost initially of a mass shooting, the increase of insurance, the medical bills, the lawsuits, the downtime of not being in class during the investigation, and then the most costly aspect of that, the loss of human life, which can never be replaced. So it would be a small investment to ensure that there was safety in all of our high schools and then middle schools. Listen, I'll be flying to Israel next Sunday after church. And in every airport, they have the TSA agents, right? Transportation Security Administration. Why don't we form an SSA, a school security administration, to ensure that no guns are ever allowed inside of a public or private classroom? Once again, we see the violence and the carnage, not only in these mass shootings, but look at these assassination attempts. There have now been 2 attempts on former President Trump's life within a 64-day period. In contrast, President Zelensky of the Ukraine, he's in a war. Guess how many assassination attempts have occurred against him while he's in war with Russia? 0. And then the question is, where is the outcry? Now, God forbid if there were 2 assassination attempts on Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. God forbid that would happen. But imagine if it did, and one of the assassins happened to have a Trump Vance sticker on their truck. Every Trump supporter with a truck and a sticker would become a suspect. It would be 24-hour news for the next 4+ years, with investigation upon investigation upon investigation, as they've done in the January 6th fiasco. My point is, where is the outrage? And finally, in the carnage that's in our land today is abortion. You know, it's astonishing to me that a so-called civilized society where science and technology have advanced to the point of providing irrefutable evidence of life in the womb. Just this past week, my daughter-in-law, my son, they went and had a 4K image of little baby Elena Toti, who is 3.5 weeks away from coming into this world. And the pictures and the video, I was blown away at how beautiful she is already and how clear the pictures are. Who out there who's not insane or dishonest can look at that and say, that's not a viable human life? They are as much viable and human as you and I are at this development even. And yet, we still live in a nation that chooses to embrace death of the innocent. According to Pew Research, currently 63% say abortion should be legal in all or most cases, while only 36% say that it should be illegal in all or most cases. Among Republicans and independents who lean toward the Republican Party, 57% say abortion should be illegal in all or most cases. By contrast, 85% of Democrats and Democratic leaners say abortion should be legal in all or most cases. The Democratic Party is fixated on abortion. Oprah Winfrey, she made headlines during her speech at the Democratic National Convention in August by stating, quote, "There is no American dream without abortion." That is shocking and it is appalling. Basically, that is the slogan of the Democratic Party. It is a party of death. Now, the left are blaming President Trump for overturning Roe versus Wade. He had to defend his actions and the actions of the 6 Supreme Court justices for their courage in doing the right thing in overturning Roe versus Wade in his past presidential debate. Now imagine having to defend the defending of life of the unborn. Makes no sense. You're having to defend your position for defending the life of the unborn. That's the state that our country is in presently. Now, President Trump and those 6 justices should have statues erected in their honor for their courage, but instead, he may not be elected in this next election because of this one issue. Now, if the Bible were a movie, what type of genre would the movie of the Bible be? It would be a love story. Because from the opening of the Bible to the last book in the Bible, it is truly a story of love. God's love for creation, God's love for humanity, God's love for you. The greatest verse in the Bible, the most popular verse in the Bible, John 3:16, is about love. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever would believe in him would not perish, but have everlasting life. In the horror of our existence in the world today, as dangerous as it is, there is a story of love. There is a story of forgiveness, and there is a story of redemption. And it's the story of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's the story we need to live our lives out of.